everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from ever so chilly Salt Lake City, Utah.
Ooh, it's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, we're going to talk about ghosts and specters.
Spooky stories.
And sightings.
Yeah, and reasons why you should definitely 100% believe in ghosts. We're going to get to it.
Oh, my God. They're everywhere, Dan.
Yeah. You guys can look forward to that because we're
oh yeah, no, and I tell you what, this place is clearly haunted.
Oh, this room, yeah. I mean, this is.
I don't know why we're even in here. I'm terrified every time we come in.
Yeah, you can feel like. Can you see my breath? Yeah, I'm pretty sure
the heater is completely ineffective on this room. That's so weird.
It's always 68 degrees with a 40% chance of rain in this room.
Wow. So that means that it's raining. 40% of the room has rain.
At any given moment, there's a corner getting soggy.
That's just not true. All right, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
We got some. Before we get to all of that, we've got some things that we need to cover.
Yeah.
Of course. Some
news.
Some stories from the news. Oh, I'm just going to start with a political candidate up in Idaho. This man's running for the lieutenant governor. He's a Republican. His name's Bob Nonini. Nonini. There's so many Nini.
I just love that name. Okay, please continue.
He's come out on. He's made sort of a little bit of a stir with. His stance on abortion. Now that, a Republican being, anti-abortion should not surprise anyone.
No, that seems normal.
However, basically, in his terms, when Roe gets overturned, now that seems like will probably happen.
Right.
He wants Idaho to make sure that there are strong deterrents for anybody who decides to break the law, because clearly they will make abortion illegal.
Right.
So he wants there to be criminal, repercussions for any, not just the doctors, because that traditionally was the way that it was handled before Roe.
Oh, no. You got to go after those murderous women.
Yeah. Because, they're bad. So he is calling for the death penalty for any woman who has an abortion illegally in the state of Idaho. He says, I strongly support the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Yeah, no shit. That would allow states like Idaho to recriminalize abortion as a deterrent. Yeah. However, it is my understanding that in the history of the United States, long before Roe was foisted upon this country, no woman has ever been prosecuted for undergoing abortion. That is for practical reasons, as well as for reasons of compassion. But he is not going to consider those practical reasons, nor be a compassionate human being.
Compassion is a dirty word in these people's lexicon.
Yeah, it's actually I think that opponents of abortion rights should be very concerned about the prospect of Roe being overturned.
Why?
Because the pendulum is going to swing, and it is going to be some version of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Obviously not.
Here's the thing. Everybody in Idaho that needs an abortion can just cross the border over to Washington and they'll be fine.
Or come down here to Utah.
We're clearly going to keep it legal here. Yeah. Oh my God. Here's the thing.
It's so horrifying.
I've said this before. I do have sympathy for people who have decided that they think that abortion is the murder of a human. Right. They are wrong in my view, but I think that is an opinion-based thing. There's no way to say that a fetus, a zygote, isn't a person definitively. It's the beginning of a life. You could make the argument, and I think either side.
Well, pregnant women need to be getting passports for their unborn children,
right?
When they're
smuggling humans across the border.
Well, yeah, and they take a fetus across the state line without the father knowing. It's child abuse, or not child abuse, child abduction.
Yeah,
right. Like let's be consistent here.
Well,
right?
but
the laws need to extend and protect that fetus in all the ways that a baby would be protected.
I get what I'm saying is that I get that they see it as a murder, and if you see it as a murder, first of all, it's not as egregious as killing an adult person,
right?
Or a out of the womb living their life child.
Well,
you know that it's not that.
Right.
So demanding the death penalty is ridiculous. But the other thing is, you can't force a person. If you needed a kidney to live, and my kidney is a perfect match, it's still my kidney, and I have every right not to give it to you if I don't want to.
How dare you, Dan?
I would.
I need a kidney.
I would give it to you,
Dan,
because I'm that kind of a guy.
Really?
But I have the right.
That's so nice of you.
Yeah, I'm very generous. But I have the right not to. Like, I have bodily autonomy, and that's
which I think is wrong.
Which I shouldn't have.
I deserve that kidney.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. But that to me is the more salient point when it comes to the thing, is that you can't force a woman to house this basically a parasite if they don't want to.
Right.
That's their body.
Right.
And they're not I don't know. Anyway, we don't need to get into the whole fucking abortion thing.
Right.
All I was saying is that, like, I understand that there is a reasonable argument to be made,
right?
But you can't criminalize it because on both sides, because it's not you can't decide that issue,
right?
You can't.
Well, what I would do is I would draw a lot of these anti-abortion people's attention to passages in the Bible which place absolutely no value in not only an unborn, human's life, personhood, but also, like, for the first month or two of a baby being out of the womb, it's still not seen in sort of like the Old Testament tradition. Rabbi Gruber, please fill us in and illuminate us. But that's my understanding.
No, yeah, right? There are passages in the Bible that talk about. First of all, there's one passage in the Bible about a woman who I think is adulterous and gets pregnant by adultery, and her punishment is that the priest is supposed to whip up a potion, and then she has to drink it.
Yeah.
And it will kill the baby.
Right.
And if it kills her too, then she was bad. And if it doesn't kill her too, then she was good or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And it's but never once does it say, this abortion is wrong, but we have to do it. It's this abortion is the way that you do it.
Right.
The Bible explicitly condones abortion in that passage.
Right.
It never explicitly says anything negative about abortion.
Right.
So they need to get their act together.
I know.
Fucking Christians. The Bible's all about abortion.
Yeah, they love to read those two verses that say some things about homosexuality.
Right, but
they'll harp on those.
Sure. But then you give them that business and they're like, "No, you're wrong." Well, I'm pointing at a Bible verse right now.
Right.
You should read it. No.
Yeah.
But it's a verse in the Bible, and that's your book, not my book.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of the Bible.
Oh, no. No.
You know those Catholics? Have you ever heard of them? The
yeah.
The so-called universal faith. Pope Francis. They've been, I don't know if you've heard of this. Apparently there's been some problems with some of their priests being naughty.
Oh, what have they been doing?
Doing the pedophile thing.
Oh.
So anyway.
Oh, damn, that's awful.
I'm just going to quickly round up a couple of stories that I found this week about that. Pope Francis accepted the resignation of Cardinal Donald Wuerl. There's too many.
What a beautiful name.
Yeah, there's too many vowels in it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Where's Father, whatever his name is?
What?
Where did you say he was from?
Oh, I think he is the cardinal of the of D.C.
Oh,
is that where it is?
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, he is the yeah. So there was when the whole thing in Pennsylvania happened. He was during the time of a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. He was the archbishop, and he was personally responsible for things like shuffling, reinstating priests who had been sort of suspended while they investigated, accusations and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, he put people in harm's way. 100% for sure, he did that. Knowingly, he did that. Yeah. The Pope has now accepted his resignation. Okay. He's like 78 years old. He's almost 78. He turned 78 this year. Huh. So like no big loss on that one. And also he was allowed to stay in for way longer than he should have been. And also the Pope sent him a letter that was like thanking him for his service and saying, you may have made some mistakes, but you aren't complicit. It was basically along those.
What is the Pope up to?
I don't know, but then, I mean, that seemed a little ugly. But then on the other side of it, in Chile, where there was that whole mess there, same thing, pedophile priests and stuff. He has just defrocked 2 more Chilean priests, and he did it publicly, which they never do, and he said the reason was because of the pedophilia.
Wow.
Which they never say.
Right.
Like when the Catholic Church defrocks somebody, if they even mention it, it's like a one-line thing that just says this person is no longer a priest, sort of thing.
Right.
So on one side you've got a really dopey way of handling this cardinal, and on the other side you've got actually like a tiny bit more transparency happening. So you tell me if any lessons are being learned. Progress is fucking slow.
Well, he does need to come in with a strong hand in South America because of his own sort of troubled little bit of a past here where he may have been aware of some things when he was the Archbishop of Buenos Aires or wherever it was.
Yeah.
And whatever he was. But he, so I kind of, I get what or I would at least speculate that that's part of it.
And he initially bungled the Chilean thing so hard.
Yeah,
he initially
needs to come in,
fucked it up so badly, and didn't believe people, and was like, it's your word against theirs, and they're priests, so they win, and whatever. But then he flipped on himself. So now, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where he keeps doing something that I'm like, yes, you're finally you're moving the church in a direction that it needs to go, and then like the next day doing something where it's like, oh no, you've gone back again.
Yeah, weird.
There's a battle brewing in that man's mind.
Come on, Pope.
Anyway,
get your act together. Well, Dan, actually, I'm going to go over to Poland.
Okay,
with another Catholic pedophilia.
Oh, fun
pedophile story.
Oh, right? Good. I'm so glad we're getting those flowing in.
Well, what's important about this story is that we know where the story is basically at in this country, and we see this example you just brought up in Chile, and in so much of the world, there's been a lot of progress. Well, one part of the world that has kind of not seen much progress on this issue has been Poland, and so this is actually a really big deal. An independent panel is being set up with the goal of documenting cases of pedophilia in the Polish Catholic Church.
Whoa.
And this is basically they set up a website where people can go and report, as well as I guess No, there was a phone line. The website's a different thing.
Okay.
There was a phone line established to call to report your story, right?
Wow.
In the first 24 hours, guess how many people called and reported their story?
It's either going to be 1
It wouldn't be,
or like 6,000.
it wasn't 6,000. There was, it was 100.
Okay.
100 people called in the first 24 hours.
Wow.
Now there is an interactive pedophilia map that has been set up.
Oh my God.
That online.
So for all you cartography buffs, get out there. It's gonna be that's a fun one.
The website had over 500,000 people visit it in that same 24-hour period.
Wow.
Let's see. The map documents 280 cases of pedophilia committed by 60 priests that have actually been convicted in the courts. Right. So this
so that's not this is not just based on reports. This is like
these are actual, and so it was like, hey, and we're trying to make this public. We're trying to let you know where this happened.
Yeah.
And now people are starting to come forward, and obviously it's something of a big concern, for abuse survivors to get these stories out there and to be able to connect with, support structures. But anyway, there was apparently a fairly recent. I'm only going to share this part of the story because there's one little word in here I want to actually say. There has been a landmark ruling that granted 1 million zlotys in compensation for sexual abuse by a Catholic priest. A zloty. That's their currency? Zloty? Zlotys?
Yeah. I remember using those.
You don't get to zl very often.
No.
Anyway, that's about $266,000.
Okay.
Not a ton of money.
No.
But anyhow.
But in Poland, that'll go far.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
No, people just don't, know the value of a zloty these days.
I mean, you just told them. 1 million equals 200,000. Anyway.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Well, there you go. That's very interesting. I'm going to take us back to Washington, D.C., where I think this is actually good news, but it's weird, but it's good. About almost exactly 20 years ago was when Matthew Shepard, a young gay boy in Wyoming, in Laramie, was murdered, presumably as a hate crime. He was,
right.
I mean, he was a high schooler, and he was brutally murdered by some thugs who hated him because he was gay.
Yeah.
And he kind of became this touchstone in the fight for gay rights, and a very important figure, sort of an Emmett Till figure, I think, in the gay rights movement. And he, news just came out this week that his body is going to be interred at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're going to move.
They're going to move his body from where it rests now. His parents have always been concerned that his resting place would be would attract vandals. Because he was so important,
sure.
and because so many people oppose everything that he stood for or everything that he symbolizes. So it's actually quite lovely. The National Cathedral, for those who don't know, is an Episcopal cathedral, and his family was Episcopalian, and of course the Episcopal Church of the United States largely is gay affirming. They have rights for gay marriages. They have gay priests. They have gay bishop.
Yeah.
And it was actually the first gay bishop that they had. What was his name? Gene something.
Gene Robinson. Who actually Shepard's mom called him and just said, "Hey, what do you think about this idea of interring him in the National Cathedral?" He thought it was a great idea. Called the dude in charge of the cathedral. So that's where he will rest forever. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, if maybe it feels weird for an atheist to be celebrating this, but it feels like that person was important enough in our cultural history that they need a burial of importance and a monument of importance. Yeah.
So,
well, and also a safe place.
Yeah.
You know, where people can't turn it into their own. They can't have their moment of defiling or defiling. What's that word? Vandalizing.
Right. And there will be a plaque in the cathedral for everyone to see, but his bones will actually be sort of locked up in the vault in the mausoleum, which is not open to
crypt.
the public. Yeah, whatever it is, I don't know.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
They won't be able to get to his body. They, you know, if at worst they could get to the monument, which, you know, to the plaque, which could be replaced or cleaned or whatever.
Right. All right. Well, cool.
So there you go.
Well, Dan, tis the time for spooky.
Yes, it is.
Tis the season.
Ooh, are you going to spook us?
Well, in as much as you know, those real life witches, people who practice
witchery
as their religious,
which, by the way, is real.
Oh, it is. No,
you
really
guys.
Sephora, actually, if you were listening last week,
right? Yeah.
Now they're not actually going to go through with it, but you know, a little starter kit was going to be available. Oh my god, yeah, no witches. Okay, modern day real witches, right?
These are just
are planning to a ritual hex that they are going to direct toward Brett Kavanaugh.
Of course they are.
They are going to be gathering in Brooklyn in a bookstore called Cat Meow. What was it called?
Pretty sure it's
Catland.
Pretty sure it's not the Cat's Meow. But
Catland.
Catland is not much better.
Catland bookstore.
Okay.
It specializes in sort of occult offerings.
Sure.
They offer a spiritual community space. And that's where they're going to be gathering witches, non-witches, practitioners of such things, and in order to direct their focus at Kavanaugh. Now, what's important to remember here, okay, is that this is not this is a hex, right?
Yeah.
This is not like some kind of binding curse.
Oh,
right. This
okay.
is
We're
very,
making a
very, very
distinction.
important.
Okay.
Because hexes create a spiritual struggle, apparently, where both actors are on sort of equal spiritual footing. So there is some like Brett Kavanaugh is not. He's not doomed because of this. He doesn't have,
thank God.
Like, as long as he has spiritual fortitude, apparently, he could actually withstand this public hex. However, so I started this article and I was like, "Oh, this is silly. It's funny, and whatnot." However, the people who are coming forward who want to participate in this are women who have survived. Sexual
assault,
abuse or assault, and they're not just going to be directing their focus on Brett Kavanaugh. They're also going to be focusing their hex toward their own rapists, and it really says something about our system and where we're at in this discussion. And how good, or I should say bad, we are at actually catching and the perpetrators and locking them up.
Yeah, or giving these women a sense of justice,
right,
of any kind.
Exactly, and we clearly are very bad at that.
Yeah,
because the buttons that have been pushed by the nomination and now ascension of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, they're very deep.
Yeah,
and they show a lot of failure in our society.
Yeah,
to properly support women and deal with their perpetrators
when they're turning to dumb pretend magic.
Yeah,
to help them. I mean, and you know what? Hell, if it gives them some sense of closure or some sense of regaining their own their sense of their own identity and personhood, whatever you got to do.
Right. The witch who's actually going to be conducting this whole thing, Dakota Bracciale is her name. She says, even if you don't believe in the magic of it, you're given the space and the affirmation, having your voice heard, feeling a sense of fellowship and camaraderie. We're putting out the message that you're not alone. We're not leaving you alone with the monsters.
Okay. And then, of course...
That's rough. That's brutal.
Yeah.
And I think it's a reckoning that we all need to face.
Right.
And we have been. This country has been facing this reckoning for the last, in a very public way for the last year or so.
Yeah.
Sadly, we haven't gone far enough. And I really fear we're not going to go far enough.
No. It's not enough for, like, a few very high-profile men to be held to some account.
No.
There needs to be some protection for the women. There needs to be some help for the women and some and we need to be holding all of the men accountable. But until we get to that point, I don't know. Now they're just
let's get our non-violent drug offenders out of the prisons
and fill it full of rapists.
Yeah,
great. I'm all for it. All right. Finally, I'm going to take us to Quebec.
Quebec,
the Frenchy part of Canada, where
is that what the license plates say?
Yes, only it's in Francais, so you can't actually understand it. But all it means
the Francaisie, le pot Francaisie, du Canada, So François Legault, I presume that's how you pronounce it, is just won the provincial elections and will be the next premier of Quebec. He has vowed that he will prevent government workers from wearing outward shows of religious things. So no headscarves, no yarmulkes or turbans or any of that sort of stuff to protect Quebec's secular society, he says. Now, I think that doesn't protect anybody. That just inhibits the rights of those individuals. But he says he's trying to protect Quebec's secular society. And make sure there aren't crosses on the wall. When you go into the DMV, make sure there's not a cross on the wall. Right.
On the wall? Or how about on the floor of the National Assembly? Because there's a giant crucifix that's been hanging there since the 30s, I think.
No.
And he's soup's okay with that.
No, he's not.
Totes.
On the record, he's okay with that.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. No.
Because, hear him out. That's not a religious symbol. That's history.
So he just has a problem with...
He just doesn't know how symbols work.
He has a problem with hijabs.
Yeah, he has a problem with everything except Christianity, just like all the Christians do. It's the same thing over and over.
What a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so mad right now.
Yeah. He basically said that the crucifix just is about... Because Quebec was founded by French Catholics and English Anglicans... and they're both, English Protestants, French Catholics.
Yeah.
Both of them
somehow
like that symbol.
Formed a nation.
Amazing.
How they have nothing in common.
No.
How did they forge this alliance?
As a matter of fact, if you think about it, a cross is like two different things crossing each other, one going up and one going across. You know, it's a perfect symbol. Yeah, no, the guy's a fucking hypocrite of epic proportions.
Oh my God.
I mean, what's funny is that I'm exactly the opposite with him on these issues. It's so not okay for him to say you can't wear your hijab, you can't wear your turban.
That's the person
when you work for the government,
right?
But it's so definitely not okay to have a crucifix hanging in the hall of the National Assembly.
Yeah, no. Like again, the state sponsorship, right? The state sanctioning of it is in the decor,
right?
Yeah, the person who's working there is a citizen,
right? Who
is allowed because of their freedom of religion to do their dumb thing.
Right. Their religion requires that they wear a turban and not cut their hair.
And what's important is that when the guy with the yarmulke, right, goes up to the woman in a hijab, she does all his paperwork for his new driver's license.
Right.
And there's no issue between the two of them.
Everybody does their fucking job, you're fine.
Yeah.
But the second somebody starts hanging goddamn Jesus wants me for a sunbeam on their fucking wall.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Problem.
You can't do it.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. Boo,
yeah,
sir.
Boo, Francois Legault.
How do you say boo in French?
Le boo.
Boo.
Boo. Boo. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to boo along with us, you can do so by writing into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you could call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group, but we'll let you in. Also check out the subreddit, TGIA Atheist.
Atheist, yes, TGIA Atheist.
Over there on Reddit. Dan.
Yes, sir.
Are you a fan of chemtrails? Are you familiar with this concept?
Well, yes, I'm familiar with the concept. And the concept is that you take contrails, which are the condensation things that...
real things.
That happen behind airplanes.
Yeah.
The lines in the sky.
Yeah.
And then you pretend like the government is putting chemicals into them to control our minds.
Why would they do that? First of all, how could they do that?
Also, not working.
Yeah.
No,
my mind hasn't been controlled.
Well, whatever it is that you're trying to make us all believe or think or whatever, half of us it's working on and half of us it's not. That's not a great track record.
Well, I mean, that's
But it turns out it's not about mind control.
What do you mean, Dan?
It turns out it's about fire. So you're about to learn. You're about to learn what it's really about. So why don't you play that clip from our favorite firefighter? What's his name?
Mark Taylor.
Yeah.
He's not only a firefighter, he's also a prophet.
He stopped being a firefighter to prophesy.
Yeah.
Now
that's how good his profiting.
Yeah, he's great.
You know, people were talking about the California fires a few weeks ago. And me being a firefighter, you know, these guys were California's got probably some of the most experienced brush firefighters in the world. And these guys were saying that these fires were exploding and they couldn't control them.
Wow.
And for those guys to use that kind of language, they said they weren't even trying to stop it at the time. They were just trying to get people out of the way. And there's a reason why that's happening, brother. And it's because, again, I encourage people, look up Dane Wigington and, go to his website. There's enough information and proof on there. He actually, one of his 46-minute videos, he verified 3 or 4 different things that the Lord had been showing me. But the reason these fires are so hot out there right now and so great right now when these things burn is because they're not fighting a Class A fire, which is wood and paper products. They're fighting a Class D fire, a metal fire. And why is that? Is because they're spraying the atmosphere with the chemtrails with aluminum oxide. Aluminum burns at 1,200 degrees. The foliage is saturated with this stuff. And when it burns, you're not going to stop it. And this is the reason why. They've weaponized, again, the depopulation, trying to make people sick, and trying to kill people off, this is their way of retaliating because I believe California's fixing to go red, brother.
I believe that too, Mark. I do.
And there's an all-out assault on for California, Florida, and Texas. Watch for stuff happening in these 3 states because there's an all-out assault going on because when those if California goes red, hang it up, they're done.
California? Not California, Dan.
California is in no danger of going red.
No. We can't lose California.
Yeah. There you go. There's this beautiful thing that happens when dopey conspiracy theory meets Jesus, Lord God in heaven.
Yeah.
That is I don't know. I find it delightful. That guy's a crazeballs idiot, and lots of people are listening to him.
Right.
It's fun.
I know.
But I do like that the chemtrails have gone from being like mind control to weather control. Now it's all about the weather control. The liberals, they control the weather.
Why? Boy, the Republicans have a lot of catching up to do because, they need a good weather defense shield, at least, at a bare minimum.
Yeah.
But they need to be fighting fires, with fire.
Well, there you go. And when you control the weather, it's not a precision instrument. That's the problem with the liberalism is that they're not using, they're not targeting well. Because when you first of all,
I think that's the problem with liberalism in general.
Yeah,
because we have bad
targeting.
Bad targeting.
It's just blunt instruments all the time.
Yeah,
get a scalpel, you guys. Come on.
Ah, God, I know.
Lightning. That's what we need. No more fires. No more hurricanes.
Control. Yes.
Lightning.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Pew pew pew. Just get specific people, specific rooms, whatever. Yeah. That's
at least tornado control.
Yeah.
If you could pick the path that tornado.
Well, I mean, tornadoes largely in this country affect very, very red states. So,
Yep.
It's very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that the same people who will, if their own, so if a liberal place gets hit by weather, that's God.
Yeah.
But if a conservative place gets hit by weather, that's the liberals.
It is kind of convenient, isn't it?
Yeah. Liberals are apparently shit at weather. They can't prevent God from doing that. Anyway. All right. Well, we've got a couple of voicemails. We got an email. Why don't we start with a voicemail and then we'll do an email sandwich.
Okay, Dan. Well, our first voicemail is coming from another former Mormon,
a foreman
who has his story to tell about his little path through woo.
Yeah.
So let's have a listen.
Hi guys, I've left a message before, and I just have been listening to, just catching up on your past episodes, and I've noticed that you talk a lot about, well, maybe not a lot, but you do tend to mention that you don't understand how people who leave the church get into the woo. And as somebody who left the church in Utah, I got super deep into the woo, became a Reiki master, Theta master, was way into the crystals and the essential oils and blah, 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 blah. And I think part of it is that you leave the church and all of your personal power is taken away by the church while you're in it. You're just an automaton in it. And the woo offers some way for you to take back some personal power. But after you've been in it in a while and you've been doing it, I'll be honest with you, I'm not even interested in it anymore. And I don't have anything to do with the woo anymore. And I live in Mount Shasta, California. And believe me, the woo is everywhere around me. So I just think it's kind of my personal opinion of why people get into the woo after they leave the church is because it's a way for them to see some personal power for themselves and, start to take their spirituality into their own hands. And then I think after you go through it for a while, you either just realize that it's all crap, which is what I did, or it becomes your new truth, Anyway, nice. I always enjoy listening to you guys. You're amazing, and I love the show. and have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you listen to this. Bye.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
That is it's so, I get it. I like this idea. We were talking about those witches earlier. There's this thing of like trying to find a way to gain some personal power.
Yeah.
And I can see the appeal. I mean, hell, I see the appeal of wanting, of being, having some sort of mystical ability or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you don't.
Yeah.
It's just, that's not real.
Yeah.
We're going to piss some people off with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and way to land into like Reiki.
Yeah. Nice. Reiki. Those are, whatever. It's people feel things.
It's the massage with no touching, right? Isn't that Reiki?
Well, it can have touch. It can, like, there is a lot of like the hands over the body thing, but then there's also like, and it's not massage, it's transfer of energy. So you put,
it's not like aura massage.
Well, there's
like
that.
Working the,
I don't know. I haven't seen it all. I did
I
did some study of it, and they like one video I saw. She did a wave of her hands to feel where the blockages of the chi or the energy were.
Uh-huh.
And then she would put her hands on them.
Oh.
For a few minutes.
Yeah, okay.
And then just move her hands to another thing.
It's very much like massage.
Yeah.
You find the knot.
Right. Right. But it's energetic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's energy.
Right.
Which means
you get in
zero.
the flow of the energy.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
The energy has to flow correctly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. I'm going to move on to an email that we got. This is from Sasha, who says, "Hey, guys, just finished listening to number 358, The Hatred of Oaks."
Yes.
That was about Dallin Oaks, the Mormon Grinch who stole gay Christmas.
Oh, no.
He says, "Thanks for another awesome podcast. As a former JW, I'm very familiar with the propaganda used by our former faiths. Prompted by your annoyance and outrage at Brother Oak's appalling comments last week, I wanted to share the material that J-dubs all around the world studied at their weekend program. It's amazing how similar many points are. Here's the article." And he sent me a link. They sent me a link to some J-dub stuff, which I found very interesting, and I'm pulling it up now. I have it pulled up. Here it is. And I found a thing. Here's what's fascinating. This whole article that is from jw.org, and it's from one of their magazines, from their Watchtower magazine. It's the lesson here is, do you have the facts?
Oh.
And it's very interesting because so much of the wording I can totally get behind. Because it's like, don't believe everything that you read.
Oh, right.
And, be sure to be careful. So I'm just going to read one paragraph from it because it's quite delightful.
Okay.
To make good decisions, we need solid facts. I approve. I approve.
Okay.
That
so far, so good.
Therefore, we need to be highly selective and choose carefully what information we will read. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You've gotten into some bad territory there. Uh-oh. We need good facts, so don't read things is a bad way of starting. We should not waste our time viewing questionable internet news sites or reading unsubstantiated reports circulated via email.
Oh, yeah.
It is especially important to avoid websites promoted by apostates. As in,
oh no,
that would be the JW equivalent of don't read anti-Mormon stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Their whole purpose is to tear down God's people and to distort the truth. Poor quality information will lead to poor decisions. Never underestimate the powerful effect that misleading information can have on your mind and heart. AKA, we've seen what happens when people are exposed to the truth. It ruins our whole business model.
Yeah.
Please don't read anything that we haven't put out. And it literally links to, like, it's funny because here's a few places that you can go to get good news. It says, for breaking news, go to the feature Breaking News on the jw.org website.
No.
And then they're talking about the newsroom on the jw.org website. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Literally, they are working even harder, I think, than the Mormons to create a bubble.
Yeah.
The Mormons are good at bubbling.
Yeah. But for a while, we're trying to be very open.
Yeah.
We're not very open. We're trying to be slightly open.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they realized they're
clamping back down.
That was a problem.
Well, I think what happens is you get one guy at the top of the chain who's less afraid, and so opens things up and is fine, and then you get somebody else who's like, super uptight, and then they clamp down again.
Super uptight.
Oh yeah,
this guy.
Well, Oaks,
he's a mess.
All of it, yeah.
Nelson and
Nelson and all of his underlings. It is now just as uptight as it could possibly be.
All right. Okay, Dan, another voicemail here. Let's see. Oh, this is a story of so this caller recounts a story of a good deed and then getting kind of caught in a situation that he wasn't expecting. So.
Okay.
I did something I normally don't do today. I picked up a hitchhiker. And I'm so glad I did, though. He was a wonderful elderly Hispanic man, and he made me laugh so much that I drove him an extra 20 miles out of my way to a McDonald's. And when we got there, he was so nice, and he asked me, what church do I go to? And reflexively, I said, well, I'm an atheist. And he made a funny look on his face. And he said, well, I'm going to pray for you. So I had a little quick moment in my mind. Do I let him pray for me, or do I assert myself? But I had so much fun with him, and he was so nice that I thought if it would make him feel better, I will let him pray for me. So he held hands with me, and he said a short prayer in Spanish. So I don't know what he said. He could have been damning me for hell for all I know, but I don't think so. And then we shook hands, and he walked away. And I'm so glad that I let him pray for me, even though I don't believe a word of it, because I know it made him feel better, and I don't really see how it affected me at all. But I just thought that was an interesting, funny little anecdote. If you ever see an elderly Hispanic man trying to hitchhike, please pick him up. You won't regret it. And thanks for the great podcast.
Well, I don't know that that's sort of universal advice.
Yeah, that may not be always sound advice. But
however, it worked out.
I'm glad that you had a good experience. The whole people praying with you for you thing is like, I mean, yeah, it's up to each of us to sort of decide how we want to handle it. It bugs the crap out of me.
Yeah,
if you do it on your own time, whatever. Don't tell me about it.
Well, first of all, I love the callers, just kindness and just like, okay, it's fine, right?
And kindness is a great way to a great guidepost for you.
And so, like, I think it's wonderful that he's in a place where that was an option for him.
Yeah, sure.
I still don't think I would do it. Even though I see it as like this nice gesture.
Can I pray with you?
No, man, fine.
No.
Yeah,
but let's hold hands and say a nice thing to each other. If you want to pray, we'll do that instead. Let's look into each other's eyes, gaze longingly, and say something nice.
Yeah,
that'd be much better for me. Also, by the way, 20 miles out of your way to a McDonald's? Where do you live? And how important is Mickey D's? Yeesh. That seemed excessive. Anyway, thanks for calling in. Do we have anyone to thank? Do we have some people?
We do have people to thank.
Do we need to
absolutely
give our gratitude?
We have two new. Well, actually, let me back up. We have one new faithful listener.
Lovely.
Free thinker.
Okay, free thinker. Well done.
Thank you, free thinker. And we have a new venerable listener, Luna. So thank you,
Hooray
Luna.
for Luna. Hooray, both of you. Thank you so much for kicking into the kitty.
Yeah.
And I guess we have a couple more to thank.
Yeah, we do. We have Angela, who is our emeritus Lord and Savior.
Sitting there just chilling in her Versace clothes or whatever.
Yeah, well, emeritus.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not easy to get.
No.
An emeritus position anywhere.
No, certainly
and
not.
And it's
certainly not on
coveted.
our program. There's only been one ever, and it is she.
Always coveted. If you can be a professor emeritus or
a Lord and Savior emeritus.
A Lord and Savior emeritus. So thank you, Angela, and of course, as always, we have our top donor, our current reigning Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Jenny!
Yeah, the champion.
Yes, indeed. And if you'd like to join these kind folk, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, click on the support tab, and then select the level of support that, fits your fancy.
Yeah. Thank you so much to all of our supporters. Peace be upon you.
Bye-bye, or thank you.
Or amen. Or whatever.
Dan.
Yeah?
Boo.
Ah, it's ghosty time. It's so spooky in October.
I know.
Yeah.
All the ghouls and the goblins and the spirits from the dark.
Yeah, because autumn feels like shit, and it feels like everything's dying. So we just celebrate death. It must be weird for Australians who listen to American shows, because we just get obsessed with like spooky things around this time of year, and it's turning nice for them now.
Yeah,
everything's getting like happy now.
Oh, spring ghosts,
Spring ghosts. Happy spring ghosts to all of you down under.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But 'tis the season here, Dan.
Yes, indeed.
We our minds turn toward hauntings and whatnot
as the days grow shorter.
Yeah, and but it brings up an interesting issue, I think, for us and our listeners, which is the fact that our little brains, as great as they are,
as amazing as they are,
have this tendency to see things in the shadows and to cause us to freak out when bumps in the night happen.
I think you mean we can see ghosts and they're all around us.
And they're making noises. No. I have actually a really good example of this.
Okay.
So, there is a security light down below my window.
Yeah.
In my apartment, right?
Uh-huh.
I've actually been thinking about bugging the HOA to maybe like block its upward direction.
Oh,
because it only needs to be pointed downward. It doesn't need to be pointed up at my window. But what that does is the light is through some leaves, comes through a tree,
sure,
and it basically is projecting this pattern onto the ceiling.
Sure.
Right? And there have been plenty of nights where I wake up from a dream and there's some kind of face or
just
image or whatever
you
up in the pattern that's up on the ceiling. and a fully awake mind, I would never see that. It's just leaves sort of moving, or
and the moving is even
still.
spookier.
The moving can be spooky, but the patterns, I guess, actually really do hit on the more still nights.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just sort of this, splatter effect on the ceiling.
Right.
And and I have a funny reaction.
Yeah.
Because I see it and I'm just like, and I close my eyes. Right.
Well, we know.
And sometimes I'm awake enough that I'll like stare my way through it.
Right.
And just sort of like be like, no, those are obviously just leaves. But if I'm still kind of sleepy, it's like I have a little bit of a fright. Right. I actually feel it, and oh God.
Well, and we know kind of where this phenomenon comes from. There's this agency detection thing that happens in us. It's an evolutionary mandate, and it was very useful when we were a species that was like getting hunted all the time by other critters or whatever.
Right.
Like if you see the grass sort of splitting itself, you're programmed to go, maybe a thing, and run, or not, or at least pay more attention.
Right.
Because it could be a snake. Or if you see, like, we're genetically programmed to see faces in things.
Yeah.
Like human face pattern. We're looking for that in everything. We see it in the moon. We see it in the clouds. We see it in the everything.
Right.
Because it's important that we know when there's another human around.
Right.
Especially since that might mean danger. So yeah, I mean, none of this disproves the phenomenon of ghosts.
Right.
But it's definitely, here's the other thing that happens. One of the reasons I wanted this conversation to happen today.
Oh?
The other day, a week or two ago, a Facebook friend posted a thing about their kid who had, quote, found or who had been visited by a 6-year-old little girl in the nighttime.
Oh, no. Well, no, wait a second. First of all, who was the 6-year-old little girl? Why was she there?
No. There was no one there. No. Here's the thing. She probed these questions, was asking, who is this? Ask her what her name is and ask her who she is.
No.
So, like, on subsequent nights, he'd come back with more story about this little girl and how old she is, and she's lost, and I find her. And, it's very interesting because the kid's clearly creative.
Yeah.
And stuff. But she was putting a call out. Does anyone know any mediums or something that can help me tease out this story from my little boy?
Oh, my God.
And I was like freaking out because do not fuck up your child who is having a cool, like, sort of imaginary time.
Yeah.
With believing it. Like, the worst thing you could do is be like, oh my God, we got to figure out all the things about this. Like, this, interestingly, the entire spirituality movement happened because a couple little girls, the Fox sisters, go ahead and research them, were just played a prank and then didn't know how to get themselves out of it because adults started believing them.
Right.
It's the same with the Salem witch trials.
Right.
A bunch of people were murdered for being witches because some little kids, kind of started a prank that that got out of control and they didn't know how to keep under wraps. Fortunately, on my friend's thing in the thread, some psychologists or some therapists were like, "Hey, maybe don't do that. Maybe just let your little one sort of go through this on their own, and they'll be fine."
Right.
But listen, I had a conversation with another friend of mine who's a mother of 3. They're all grown now, but she was talking about how there's nothing fucking creepier than little kids. They say and do some of the creepiest shit.
Okay.
Like she had a little boy who came to her at one point and told her that he had a friend who lived in the crack in the mirror.
Yeah, that's not good.
That is a creepy ass thing for a kid to say. That is some horror movie shit.
Yeah. No, you could base an entire movie.
Oh yeah,
on that concept.
Oh yeah, you do some like The Ring stuff with that, and
my God.
Trust me, you've got a franchise.
The little
The Crack in the Mirror. Is that not a movie? That should be a movie.
The Crack in the Mirror.
That's just
an awesome title.
That's a great fucking title.
Yeah.
She was also talking about how her kids. She used to wake up, and her kids would just, one or the other of her kids would be standing over her, staring at her.
Yeah.
Not doing anything, not waking her up. Just staring silently.
Just fingering the knife in their hand.
Oh, who was it that told me the knife story? Somebody had a kid. Like, all the knives had disappeared in their house. All of the knives were gone in their house. And they went to all of their kids, and they're like, "Where's the?" And then the littlest one, they're like, "Do you know where the knives are?" And she was like, "No." And they're in that sort of way where, like, "Oh fuck, she knows where the knives are." Uh-huh. And they finally found them. They were in the tanks of all of the toilets in the house.
Oh, that's not okay.
And like, yeah, it's just kids do creepy fucking shit, and then like parents' brains go crazy.
Well, and this person clearly wanted their kid to be very special. Well, they know their child is special.
Right. And that's the thing is that, like...
What a gifted child.
When you believe in the woo, and you want the woo to be true.
Right.
And then your kid does something. Like, it's like, oh, that's the woo. It's happening.
He talks to dead people.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why that would be a thing you'd want.
What if they could just help this little girl on her journey? She'd find her way. She's stuck, Dan.
Yeah,
she's a lost soul, Dan.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. It's dumb. We as a society need to reject these concepts. Like, let me tell you something. If you believe in mediums who can talk to the other side, you're wrong.
Right. Well, and first of all,
that just doesn't exist.
First of all, we were just talking about horror films. Mm-hmm. Has this parent have they never seen a horror movie? This is how horror movies start.
Yeah.
Little kid, innocent enough. There's a little ghosty girl coming around, singing little songs and la la la,
like emerging from your television.
La la la.
And then
I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. We need to help her. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Run.
Oh, did you
sell your house? Move to another state. Whatever you have to do, change your story.
Yeah.
Avoid that at all costs.
Did you ever see?
You're about to have a heap of hurt descending on you.
Did you ever see? There was a prank video that somebody produced. I don't know who it was. Where the entire and the brilliance of this prank is its simplicity. Mm-hmm. They dressed a little girl in a little dress. She had long black hair, and they pulled it sort of a little bit over her face.
Okay.
And they put her in a hotel hallway with kind of a spotlight coming down on her and just had her stand there. And people would round the corner and go, "Ah!" and run away. Grown people at the site. She wasn't doing anything. I think she was. Her arms were straight down by her side. Her head was kind of at a weird little creepy angle. She was doing nothing but looking at them, and they would scream and run away.
Of course they would, because that ain't normal. That is unexpected. It's not normal.
Yeah.
They've seen the movie. They know it's bad.
They know everything that you just described is what's going through their minds.
They will leave their iPhone charger in that room and never come back.
Right, exactly. It could have been
no.
If it would have been a full-grown man with a shaved head and tattoos all over it, they would have just been like, "Hey," and walked past.
Yeah, you could be holding a bloody axe.
But you put that little girl down there. This is the funniest shit in the world. You Google that too. It's just one of those things where our minds are programmed for dangers.
Yeah.
And if we give in to that part of our brains,
that's
when things go badly.
Yeah.
So don't do it, kids. This is a TGIA public service announcement.
Yeah.
When you feel like you saw a ghost, don't worry about it. You didn't.
Yeah. There was no ghost.
There was no ghost. There may have been a thing. I don't know. There may have been a bird in the night that flew past you. May have been something. Who knows? Leaves on
the ceiling.
But yeah, there was no ghost. You're fine.
Yeah.
There may have been a little girl in the hallway, though.
Boy.
Little girl in the hallway.
No, that's also a horror film right there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, there you go. Get out there and if you have some ghosty fun that you want to share with us,
share your stories.
Share your ghost stories with us. Convince us that we're wrong if you want to, or tell us about somebody that you know that believed something silly. You can write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join it as a closed group, but we will let you in.
Indeed. Also go to the Reddit page. Don't forget that. Reddit.r/TGIAtheist. Hey, speaking of all of the Facebooky things, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page. Thanks to Sarah, Danny, and Amy for their work moderating the Members Only Lounge.
And, of course, a big thank you goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and also to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
Yes, and thank all of y'all for tuning in each week. We sure do appreciate you.
Bye-bye.